Hello, minions. Welcome back to the Night Below Reviewcaps. The campaign is chugging forward at full steam, with the new team a couple of sessions in and up to speed with goings-on in Heronshire. But what awaits them? What complications and challenges will they meet? Let's find out. As is our fashion, the sessions are recapped using the Order of the Stick Monster for Every Season cutout minis. The players: Claude as Dub, Neutral Good Dwarven Thief, level 8. Ron as Valletta, Chaotic Good Human Cleric of Tymora, level 7. Les as Aneshk, Lawful Good Human Paladin of Lathander, level 6. Sean as Octavius, Chaotic Good Human Ranger, level 6. Dave as Lee, Lawful Good Human Monk, level 6. Grant, who plays the dwarf fighter Rotkill, was unable to attend, so was NPC'd for the session. NPC retainers and henchmen: Boris, Lawful Good Human Ranger Henchman to Aneshk, level 5. Tyranno, Lawful Good Human Magic User Henchman to Aneshk, level 3. Kelflin, Chaotic Good Half-Elf Fighter Cleric of Tymora, Henchman to Valletta. What? The 0 levels and Sergeant-at-Arms are still alive? How is that even a thing? Okay, minions. If they last a couple more sessions, I'll try to learn a name or two. Picking up where we left off, the characters arrive at Count Palfrey's keep. Quipper briefs them that where Lord Carmen is kind and noble, Palfrey is less so. Being of the elite class, he enforces his status. He doesn't shirk his duties as a lord per se, but he's also less vested in events that don't outright impact him directly. With that noted, the force approaches the keep. Aneshk, Octavius, Valletta, and Quipper go forth to treat with the lord. A guard at first asks their business, followed then by the lord's personal valet. Upon stating that their group has a writ from the king authorizing their investigations of the land, the valet asks them to disarm and disarmor, then enter. They are escorted in, where upon confirming the writ's authenticity, they are ushered to a waiting room where Count Palfrey finally arrives and engages with them. He is, as Quipper warned, an elitist, and speaks down to the group, though warms to Aneshk, especially since he has the king's favor. One cannot help but appreciate a sycophant. I approve, minions. The discourse turns to the giants, and the situation in Thurmaster. The team is able to secure the deal he had with the mercenaries, Palfrey offering a reward of 500 gold pieces per giant head brought to him. Regarding the mercs occupying the town, he refers to their leader, Lord Taro, as an audacious upstart with no noble blood, but in any case shows no concern for the people, feeling that Thurmaster, being a dunghole of a town, will yield them nothing and eventually move on. It's not worth wasting men on, and the people there, save for Tauster and Squire Marlin, aren't worth the effort. Palfrey mentions that Lord Taro has a strong fighting force, as well as a wizard and priestess among his allies. He comments on the priestess being disturbed or crazy in some way. At one point, Octavius interjects to ask a question, but Count Palfrey addresses him down for addressing his betters in a familiar tone. Valletta notices that Quipper is completely ignored. Palfrey spies the pendant of Tymora and offers respect to the priest, as he has profited well from Tymora and often lets pilgrims from the north stay on his land when they pass through. Though it hasn't happened in some time, as a group of pilgrims were meant to come through the year prior, but went missing on the Howler's Moor. A previous group he had hired to find them only did a cursory search with a trained bird and magic to speak with it. The bird reported 2-headed dogs. This triggers Aneshk, as he's been having nightmares about 2-headed dogs, a sign from his god that he feels compelled to follow. The Count offers fine guest quarters to Valletta and Aneshk, along with meals and comfort, but all subordinates must make do with the courtyard. This is acceptable, however, and preferable to staying outside of the walls, so the main force is ushered in. During the evening, the group confers, debating a course of action. The mercs in town seem less a priority as they are simply occupying the location and not causing trouble otherwise. The giants, on the other hand, are regularly killing people. So it's decided that they will travel south and deal with the giants before figuring out the Thurmaster situation. Kelflin is sent by Valletta to chat up the Count's men on a fact-finding mission, and to offer prayers and gaming as is the purview of Tymora. He eventually returns, a few silvers richer, but unable to glean any new information they didn't already have. Dub does mention that it might be worth getting the mercs out of Thurmaster, as it's the only actual town near the Schreichenmeier, and they may need a safe haven to withdraw to if the giants prove a threat. The next day they depart Palfrey's keep, and ultimately decide it might be worth at least looking in on Thurmaster and scouting it out. As they approach, they set up a camp a mile or two from town, and Dub sneaks into town after nightfall to see what's going on. His first attempt to climb the walls sees him fail, taking some damage. This alerts the two gate guards, who scan the area with bullseye lanterns, but Dub's hide in shadows succeeds as he presses against the wall, effectively invisible. He instead scouts around the outer wall, finds a hole in the dilapidated barrier, and squeezes through. There are a few abandoned buildings inside, and some in use. He listens to a couple arguing about a domestic matter, and later sees men in chainmail patrolling. After scouting around, he leaves and returns to report. Well-armed men patrolling is a red flag. The DM calls for the ranger to roll surprise. A 1 is rolled, but nothing seems to happen. This, of course, puts the players on alert. Normally such a thing would be done behind the screen, but the DM was feeling cheeky. Come morning, the entire force moves forward, after debating whether or not they should assault the town or attempt to parley. Anesh goes forward and makes contact at the gates, which are closed. The old man talking with him from the gate walkway seems less than thrilled at having to refer to Taro as a lord, but nonetheless does the duty of a liaison. Stating he wishes conference with Lord Taro, the gatekeeper agrees to let Anesh in. Once inside, he finds many soldiers and archers covering him, but he's met by a well-armored and armed man who introduces himself as Lord Taro, even offering his hand in friendship. There's a wild-eyed woman beside him, wearing a pendant of a skull and starburst. She sizes up Anesh and nods approvingly. The two speak, and Lord Taro suggests that his dealings with Palfrey are not what he has let on. But in any case, he has occupied the town and is willing to leave, if Anesh will meet him in single combat. The condition is that his corpse is forfeit, and Taro and his people will claim it. He seeks a worthy foe, though if he has to, he's not above starting to slaughter the unworthy innocents of the town, innocents who, thus far, have not been harmed. Taro specifies that any champion will do, if he feels a better combatant exists among his friends. This unsettles the Paladin, but Taro lets him out to think on it, and he returns to the team to discuss. A massive debate and speculation begins. Why do they want his body? Will they honor their arrangement? Valletta just wants to attack outright, but Lee and Octavius voice their concerns about civilians if they do. They are between a rock and a hard place, but put it to a vote, with most of the team deciding that single combat being the best chance at the least amount of carnage. They consider stipulating unarmed and unarmored combat, then letting the monk Lee act as champion, as his combat skills in such a contest are impressive. But it's ultimately decided that Anesh will be the one to face Taro, armed with Dub's Defender longsword and Rotkill's powerful magical shield. Further, when Quipper is asked if he has anything to add or any suggestions, he offers his Ring of Free action in case there's treachery via holding magic. Discussing the crazed priestess's holy symbol, Anesh describes it to them, but none recognize it save Octavius, who has seen it before but can't place it. They send a messenger to accept, with the stipulation that gear is to be returned, only the body may be claimed. Dub makes an observation that the enemy mage that was mentioned could be invisible and spying on them. The Rangers immediately start tracking the area, and they use Lee's ability to speak with the dog to get information from it as well. The dog sniffs around and leads them to an area where the dog smells what the Speak with Animals ability translates as man, not man, a common shorthand for demi-humans and humanoids that aren't fully human. Octavius finds evidence of a creature not of their group with a strange deformed gait that was among them, and traveled alongside the entire host. They surmise that there was a spy among them last night. The trail breaks from the host and enters Thurmaster. The messenger returns, visibly disturbed by the wild-eyed priestess, and states that they agree with the further stipulation that regardless of who wins, the priestess is the one to claim the body. This further disturbs the group, who immediately reconsider. Anesh posits that an evil priestess wins regardless of the outcome, and participating in this duel furthers an evil end. The group agrees with this logic, and begins to immediately plan an assault. They realize that while innocence may be in danger, ultimately force of arms is the least of the evils in the situation. Lee has the guard dog remain alert for the smell of the man, not man. Valletta suggests his rope of climbing might facilitate a swift ascension of the wall at an undefended point, at which Dub whines that he certainly could have used that last night. It's decided that Lee and the Rangers will run forth and scale the wall. Lee will seek out the enemy mage while the Rangers split up, Quipper taking on the priestess as his Ring of Free action will negate any hold magic, while Octavius and Boris will attempt to protect the people and get the gates open. Outside, the archers will spread out in case the enemy wizard can fireball, and once inside, Rotkil and Aneshk will take on Lord Taro. Before they launch into action, Octavius' memory clicks and he recalls that the symbol is a symbol of Ace-Erik, a new deity that is rumored to be emerging and being investigated by various groups, including the Ranger Order. Determined to end this threat, the team moves forward to enact the plan of attack, and the session concludes. Well, minions, a pure session of roleplay. It's sometimes fun to sit back and let the players just talk to one another. And that's what happened. Behind the scenes, their conferences about courses of action and the moral imperatives forcing them ate up many hours. Hours that just flew by. It was a little surprising by the end of it that an entire 4-hour session had elapsed. Back when Team Evil was in play, moral dilemmas weren't a thing. They just did whatever served their own interests. But watching this group react and discuss when faced with multiple moral quandaries is quite compelling. I mean, for me, I'm more compelled by how much these men of ability actually care for insects like the Thurmaster townsfolk. But they came to what I feel was the right decision. Kill them all and let the gods sort them out. I suppose from a Goody-Good point of view, the Paladin choosing a path where only he is at risk and everyone else gets to remain safe is very on brand. So kudos to the choices. The Merc situation in Thurmaster is another example of a DM insert, but grown from established player choices. The previous group learned of giants and considered dealing with them, but ultimately did nothing. Well, the world continues to spin, and so the DM needs to consider what happens in the interim. So, Count Paulfrey hires mercs to deal with the situation. And as the DM is rolling up the mercs, he determines that they are evil. So then they take over the town. But why? All of that was sussed out and becomes part of the narrative. This is one of those areas where D&D as a game really shines. The constant change and growth, especially when it's tied into what has come before, even if only a little. Other things are going on as well. Aneshk's player, being a 6th level paladin, has prayed to summon his warhorse, the guidance for which has come in the form of those nightmares about two-headed dogs. For a while they've been wondering if it was a metaphor or something, but now they know the answer is more literal. Two-headed dogs being, of course, one of the scenarios baked into the Night Below campaign arc. Having extra motivation to explore that area can't hurt, especially since the inciting incident for the written scenario is now over a game year old. The next session is an action-packed one, minions. Basically a table war game, as the group assaults Thurmaster. This merc group is tough, no slouches in combat or ability. A high-level warrior with full-plate armor, a powerful cleric, a mage, a small army of 0-level minions. But you've also seen how this group can fight, so what happens next is anyone's guess. Stay tuned, minions. It promises to be an exciting one. Get the popcorn ready. Ta for now.